Welcome back, everyone. Don't worry, your video is not glitching out. I just sped up the fight so you don't have to sit through 20 minutes of these guys hitting me with long animations. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to take down Drowned Dan, which I have to say slowly because say that 10 times fast, and get the Celestian Spellements of Ship of Fools, Nautilus Unleashed, Spiritual Tribunal, and Celestian Intervention, which are the said reason for speeding up the video because while they all look cool, they take a long time. They also are all really good and worth doing this fight for, especially Ship of Fools, as it is one of the few low pip AoEs for death, and in my opinion, maybe the best, because Deer Knight is 5 pips and uses overtime damage, and all the other ones come from pets, so you can't use as many versions of it, and you can't use sun spells to increase the damage, so I think Ship of Fools is the best. Drowned Dan is located in the Science Center, and once you take the teleporter to the Arboretum, he's only a few steps away in the tower in the middle. You will need a gold skeleton key for this fight, but if you don't have any, check out the video I made on how to get them, which I'll link in the description. Drowned Dan has a very unique set of cheats. He gives you a code of 4 numbers, revealing 1 after the second round, and the rest 1 at a time after each minion has been defeated. These numbers represent the number of pips needed of a spell to be targeted at him in order for him to not be immune to damage. It sounds a little complicated, but it's not too bad. For example, if the code was 4732, you would need to hit him with a 4 pip spell, then a 7, then 3, then 2, and then he would be vulnerable to hits. The nice thing about the code is that there's only 10 versions of the possible code. I'll put them up on the screen right now, but you can also search Drowned Dan up on the wiki and have the 10 codes ready for when you hit him, because after he gives you that first number, you can start discarding the spells with pip numbers that you know you won't need. For example, if he gives you a code beginning with 1, the only 3 options the code can be are 1, 5, 2, 7, 1, 5, 7, 10, or 1, 5, 7, 11. So you know you need to prioritize getting a 5 pip spell and later a 7 pip spell, and you can get rid of any spell that doesn't take 5, 2, 7, 10, or 11 pips. One other tricky aspect of this fight is that you can't use an AoE to get rid of all the minions at once, because then he will heal them back or respawn them if you kill them. And spells like Sun Serpent trigger this cheat too, so you can't cheese it with Sun Serpent or Avenging Fossil, or any other spell like that. But after you do the code, he's just a regular boss with around 15,000 health or lower depending on your level. The only other annoying aspect about this fight is that all the minions are ice and they spam Tower Shield and Legion Shield. They must get like a sense of joy from just using those 2 spells because they use it so often. Even though ice is my favorite school, it is not my favorite school for the minions of a boss, especially a cheating boss fight, to beat. My recommendation is for your hitter to bring Infallible to help them deal with it. You could also bring Shrike, but I don't think you need to risk the backlash for minions with 5,000-ish or lower health. The strategy I used in this fight was to have one wizard be a tank who does all of the code hits, and the other one Blade Up, Infallible, and take out the minions one by one. The first wizard should use a global spell for the hitter in the first round as an extra buff for the hitter that doesn't take away the hitter's pips, which are being saved for the actual hits, and I'm realizing now that I said hits and hitter so many times in that sentence, and I apologize. But the global spell is also a good idea because the Codebreaker wizard doesn't really have a good move first round, and so otherwise would just pass, so a global spell is a great move for them to do. You should also plan decks for when you flee and come back, which I think makes this fight easier even if you have 4 wizards. There is no penalty for coming back late, which is unusual for a cheating boss of this nature, so it's easier to make 2 decks with different purposes than one deck where you have to constantly discard to get what you need. For the first wizard, I packed spells with every pip number so I could break the code, and then I had a second deck ready with buffs for the hitter when Drowned Dan was vulnerable. For the hitter, I had 3 attack spells, blades, Infallible, and then the Mass School Trap from the Dragoon gear, which I highly recommend for this fight, because if you get too damaged and have to flee before being able to take out all 3 minions, having a trap on them when you get back makes taking them down so much easier. But this fight can be done at different level ranges, so if you don't have Dragoon gear or some of the other spells, you can use treasure cards, and improvise a little, because the difficulty level does scale down the lower level you are, luckily. Overall, Drowned Dan is not a super difficult fight, but I really like how unique the fight is from other cheating bosses and other skeleton key bosses. It's not just a no traps, no blades to make the fight longer just for the sake of making it longer, but instead adds in a different mechanic that doesn't abnormally prolong the fight and makes it more enjoyable, at least for me. Quick interjection here, this flea is from me panicking, thinking that my Frost Giant didn't trigger the 7-pip part of the code, and so I go to the bazaar using the teleporter to Majid to get there to try and find a 7-pip single target, because I thought that was the problem, but then I realized that I just hadn't killed the last minion, so as long as you don't panic like me, you'll be fine. Hopefully you like the fight too, but if you don't, I hope that this guide will help you get all of the spellements for the spell that you need in just a few short runs. Thanks so much for watching this guide, and leave a comment down below of another boss that you'd like to see a guide for. Like the video if this helped you, and subscribe if you want to see more Woodzeli content, because I have got a lot of good stuff coming up. See you in the next one, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day. And a quick cut to the end of the video, so you know I actually beat him and I'm not just lying to you this whole time, but finished off my excessive buffing, cool Sun Serpent spell here, a little critical, all of those, all of those, and you know, just a little bit over his health range, but you know, I think it was an accurate amount that we should have done, but yeah, thanks for watching this video, see you next time.